Here's the Viltrox 23mm 1.4 prime lens, and this is one of the cheapest prime lenses of this quality that I think exists in the market right now. Viltrox is a fairly new lens manufacturer, and they have a few other lenses that are out there. This is for the Sony E mount, and I bought it. This was under $300. I think I got it for 260, something really cheap as far as relative to lenses goes. And the on a this is only works on APS-C size sensors, and I have a Sony A6600, and that's what I purchased it for. 23 millimeter is the equivalent to a 35 millimeter in full frame, and it's 1.4 with a manual aperture here, except it's not mechanical. I think it's still electronic, even though you see it's you can manually adjust it. Because when I open it up here, if it were mechanical, then you would see the iris adjusting as I adjust it here, but you don't see that there. So it's autofocus. It's not manual. It's a very good construction. It comes with a pouch, and the lens hood is solid metal. This is not a plastic lens hood. So if you had this on the lens here and you drop this lens, that's gonna handle a drop. This metal here, I really like that metal. And I have a filter. I put a filter on here. It's a 52 millimeter filter. The focus is pretty easy, pretty smooth. There's no clicks in the aperture, by the way, if you're wondering. So this is okay in video, but there's no image stabilization. And even with the in-body image stabilization with the A6600, it's not that great. So yeah, I did try to shoot some video with this lens, and it did not come out good handheld. Maybe it would be better if you put this on a tripod and shot video for an interview or something like that. But if you're gonna go handheld with this lens, you have to be really stable, have it on a gimbal, or you're gonna get a lot of jitteriness in your footage. The reason why I got this Viltrox, besides the price, well, the price was the main selling factor. The reason why I got a 23 prime is that I used to have a Fujifilm X100 series. I had the all the X100s up until the V. I don't have the X100V yet. I'm thinking about getting it, but I like that 35 millimeter look with that lens combination, and I wanted something similar. I already shoot stills with the Canon R5. This is my main camera I do stills with for professional photography, and this is the Canon's cheaper 35 millimeter lens, prime lens, which is an amazing lens. I am shocked how much value I've been getting from this one lens here. And I have a Moment, this is a 10% diffusion cine bloom filter, and this 35 millimeter on the Canon, it has a 52 millimeter filter thread, so the filters on this camera lens can fit on the Viltrox, which is nice. And full frame 35 millimeter, you can't really beat it, but there was just something about that look with the Fujifilm, and I know it has a lot to do with the other factors with the Fujifilm, not just the focal length, but it has to do with whatever secret sauce that the Fuji is cooking up with its sensor and its processor and everything, and its look. I don't get the same feeling with this 35 on the Canon, and I I tried the Sigma. I had a Sigma 35, and I have reviewed it, which is good. The Sigma 35 for the Canon. I'll put that review below, and I like that too. I like the Art Series lenses, but I got rid of it because it wasn't as practical as this lens, or as light, or as featured. But I was thinking for stills, if maybe I could make this work and save a lot of money, because I already had the A6600 here, and I was just thinking this could be, instead of getting a Fujifilm X100, maybe I could roll with this, because this has the same sensor size as the Fuji X100, And now that I have the same lens and a wider aperture, I think the X100 series only opens up to an f2. This is a 1.4. So I was thinking, yeah, this could be my street photography stealth camera. And I could even add a Cine Bloom filter on there and make it more artsy and vintage. And I tried it out. I already said that it's not good for video, so this would be only for stills. It's got a pretty good, it's big for, it's big in comparison to a Fujifilm X100, but I thought, it's not that big, and it's got a good form factor. The size comparison to the R5 with the 35 millimeter, it's very comparable actually. When it comes to the size of these cameras and the lenses, so I could still roll with the R5, I guess. But I was thinking, yeah, I could. This could be my street photography lens, and so I went out and I did some shots, and unfortunately, I wasn't pleased with the shots that I was getting. It does have, when I'm shooting all the way wide open at an f1.4, or even if I stop down to f2, it has a look. It has a certain type of look that's hard to replicate with other zoom lenses or other Sony lenses, and I like that look. It's just not this. It's not the my 35 that I want to go with. It's just personal preference. And also, I do. There was some autofocus issues. It's not as fast with autofocus. What I really didn't like with this lens was that it doesn't handle the highlights very well. I saw a lot of chromatic fringe, like purple fringing in the highlights whenever I'm shooting against a very bright, overexposed even backdrop, and then whatever the edges are and the shadows, I see purple. So I didn't like that, but I do think it's still artistic. I don't regret buying this lens because it was so cheap. At $260 something, if you want a 35 prime and you want it really let in a lot of light, get really artistic with your shallow depth of field, this lens is pretty good. It doesn't, to me, it doesn't replicate what the Fujifilm can do, but I was asking too much. I was pipe dreaming.